Hey guys, what is up? So my name is Bela and I am a holistic wellness coach, primarily for mental health professionals, but I'm also finding a lot of you who are entrepreneurs who are enjoying this channel. So welcome to the party. Today is going to be specifically about how mental health and nutrition are connected and what I learned from a plant-based diet and how it really changed my life. So that is going to be the objective today. I'm going to share some of the secrets to my own endurance. And also, I really don't think they should be secrets anyway, but I figured them out and they were secrets for me for a long time. So now I'm going to share them with you so that you can use them and pass them on to your clients, your family members, your friends, whoever needs this information most. So make sure you stay until the end today because I will share some of my favorite resources to help you with the next steps in this process. So stay tuned until the end for that information. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to click the bell icon or the subscribe word, which I think should be down below this video, so you're notified of new episodes that will be arriving every Thursday. So today let's dive into how a plant-based vegan diet changed my life and how it could change yours as well. So first off, in my previous life, or my previous self, I really suffered from regular headaches and occasionally migraines. I just accepted that that was a part of my life. I thought that was normal. And I even thought that the mental fog was just part of what I called depression. I thought, oh, I'm just depressed, and then this must be the definition of it because that was the buzzword that was going around, and you see it in all the commercials. Are you feeling this way? Are you feeling that way? And it was like, yeah, I am. I must be depressed. But what I actually found was that in the fall of 2017, after struggling with acne, after struggling with gas and bloating and low energy, I realized that I needed to take my nutrition seriously, and I found a meal plan that was strictly whole foods and plant-based. It wasn't even vegan. At that time, I was not vegan, but I did want to take my health seriously. And in that meal plan, she really cut back on the amount of healthy fats, and dairy was one of them. And so I had a very small amount of dairy each day versus the large quantity that I was having. And I realized very quickly that that changed a lot for me. And so as I started to learn more about it, I realized that I had a lactose intolerance. And so all of those side effects that I just talked about, the acne, the headaches, the gas, the bloating, the low energy, all of those were connected to lactose intolerance for me. And so once I cut those out, I just decided to cut out that kind of healthy fat entirely and went to things like avocado and hummus and things that were a better healthy fat for me. And I just completely removed all dairy, and I couldn't believe the energy and the mental clarity and the focus that I was able to have after that. I was so clear-headed. And so that was one of the transformations that I made. Another one that I made was I went from this tired and lethargic state, and I was also constantly on edge about my weight. That was one of my big issues, especially through high school and college, always being preoccupied. And I would weigh myself all the time, and I would start to go up a pound, and so I would just cut back on my food. I just stop eating, just wouldn't eat as much. Or I also struggled with trying to figure out how to manage it. So I was counting calories, I would do fasts, I would do cleanses. At times I just said screw it, and I would eat whatever I wanted, and I would binge, and I would even get in these negative habits and cycles when it came to that, the mindset that goes around with issues with weight. And I was constantly preoccupied with it. And unfortunately, I tried to keep that quiet, and because I was skinny and didn't look like there was too much wrong with me, a lot of people didn't ask about it, and I didn't talk about it. But afterwards, what I found was after following this nutrition plan, and I was coached through it, I really discovered that I had control. I had ownership over what was going on with my weight and my nutrition and my mental health state and my body and my energy level and my joy in life. And so much of it was connected to my nutrition, and I never would have guessed it. I thought, I blamed it on a lot of different things, and at that time, definitely wouldn't have considered that it was actually because of trying to figure this out and feel so out of control in this area. So now as I guide clients through their own process, my number one encouragement is just to follow the plan. And it's a very simple plan, it's very basic, and it's also going to really helps you nail down how much you need of different kinds of food categories. And that's something that really is going to help you to have more of a balanced diet, and it takes so much of that guesswork out of it. It's like, oh, do I need more of this? Do I need more of that? And what happens if I do this? And yes, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Nutrition never is. Nothing ever is, because we're all unique and individual. But it is something that will help to set guidelines and an understanding of where to go from there. So anyway, I used the same system that helped me to do it as well. So that was one thing that that I learned through that experience, and it was also gaining that kind of ownership and that authority was really exciting to me. It took away the chains from the from the scale and feeling like I was constantly tied to the scale and was weighing myself all the time and making sure that I was just so, and actually I really didn't need any of that. What I really needed to focus on was, am I healthy? Am I happy? Am I eating enough throughout the day? Because I'll get distracted and working and won't take a break. So those kind of things became my regulators instead of the scale, and instead of focusing on a pound, it was instead, what am I hoping to accomplish? Do I need to gain muscle for a really long hike or a really long endurance ride, or do I need to lean down and focus in a different way on something else? So whatever it was realizing that I had ownership of it, and my weight didn't own me, and it wasn't this like strange entity out there that I had no control over. It was actually very manageable, just by following this simple system. So the other area that I really wanted to focus on when we're talking about mental health and nutrition was that I really wanted to make a difference in a big way. I've always, it wasn't just about people. For a long time, I actually wanted to have a no-kill animal shelter when I was little. I found out what happened to animals who'd been there for too long, and I was like, nope, I am going to have a no-kill animal shelter, and this is how it's going to go. And I had the whole thing planned out. I was like middle school, I think. My dad is also a veterinarian. I grew up with this strong love of animals, and then also I love being outdoors. My mom and I are very naturalistic. We love being outside. Much of my family does, actually. And we love being outdoors, and it's become such a peaceful place. And so when I realized that being vegan allowed me to make a difference for my body and my health, it allowed me to make a difference for my environment and the health of the planet. It helped me to make a difference with animals, the very valuable creatures that I loved watching and observing and learning more about over and over again. It was going to help me to make a difference in all of those areas. And I just fell in love. I can't think now of doing anything else other than this. But yeah, so along with that though, along with those changes, I've gotten a lot of objections and questions. So I wanted to address some of those now as well. So what I see most frequently is people tell me, I like meat too much. I can never be vegan. I like meat too much. And it cracks me up, because actually what I found is that we really just enjoy the seasonings. And I know it's going to sound funny if you never learned about that before or noticed that, but actually you can still use much of the same seasonings just on different items. So chickpeas or lentils or something like that, and it tastes the same. I still have burgers, I still have tacos and things like that, and honestly they're a lot better, to be quite honest, because you're experimenting with different veggies and how to combine them. It's just that we're not familiar with them right up front. So the more that you learn, the more that you love, the more that you embrace them. the more that I tested out different veggies, I really found that I craved those instead. I don't crave meat. I don't desire it. It actually smells kind of funky to me now. It's like, bleh, like it's just weird. But that's okay with me because I have so many, like your gut and your body, it gets adjusted and it actually just begins to crave what you're feeding it, and that's true of anything. If I start to eat more processed stuff, if I start to eat more stuff that my body doesn't necessarily need, but I'm like, hey, pizza, like, and I get excited about whatever it is, my body starts to crave that more. And the more that I stick to my whole foods, plant-based diet, the more that my body craves that. So it's a fine balance of keeping those things in check and, sometimes enjoying something, but also recognizing that, yeah, it may lead to some cravings later that you're going to have to fight and be disciplined about. So focusing on, anyway, back to, I like meat too much. So then you're focusing on the seasonings and finding ways to get creative with the vegetables instead of the meat that we all get so creative with. So how do you eat vegan when you eat out? I don't want to be rude and say no to people when they make this big meal and then I can't eat it because I'm vegan. I wouldn't want to do that to people. Well, think about it this way. If you realize, like for me, I realized that I was lactose intolerant, or you have some kind of food allergy. How easy is it for you to say, I'm sorry, I really appreciate that you made that for me, but I actually can't eat that. There's nothing that they can do. Yeah, they're going to be sad, and you're going to be sad because you can't eat it either. But at the same time, you can't, because it's an allergy, because it's a problem for your body, because you stand for something that is bigger than this awkward situation, to be quite honest. It's not being rude, it's being honest about who you are and what you stand for. And what I find so many times is that it opens the door to questions. It opens the door to all these questions that I'm about to go through, because these are frequently knee-jerk reactions from people. And they're like, oh, you're vegan? What's that like? Or, oh, I could never do that. Or, what do you do for protein? Or, what do you do for this? And it's so interesting to have these open conversations with people. But we wouldn't have had them if I hadn't stood my ground and said, I'm vegan, I'm sorry, I can't partake in that, and whatnot. So just being honest about that is really what people admire and respect and want to start a conversation about. You stand for something, and that's important. So one of the other questions that I just mentioned, how do vegans get their protein? Protein is really not the problem. It's more about getting a balanced diet of all different kinds of fruits, veggies, legumes, grains, seeds, nuts, healthy fats, etc. Just eat enough. And, if we are eating a balanced variety of those kind of foods, then we really shouldn't lack for anything, unless, of course, there are circumstances with your dietary needs. So this is definitely not in place of medical advice or a holistic doctor or anything like that, but it is something to consider. That's really no concern of mine is my protein intake, because of the variety of fruits and veggies that I have all the time, and they all have protein in them. So some people also say things like they'll go hungry. They're like, I'm going to go hungry if I go vegan. Trust me, I do not go hungry. I just eat a lot. And we get to do that as vegans because our foods are maybe less calorie dense. So really, when you're having a big bowl of veggies, it's really going to nourish you, and your body's going to be able to use it as fuel. But you also, I get to eat as much as I want. I get to eat all the time, and it's just because it's good for my body. It's what my body needs, and there's also so much fiber in it that my body's really not gonna, it's gonna let me know when I need to stop, because the fiber makes you feel full and stuff as well. So really just paying attention to your body, that's going to help you to not go hungry. And anybody who said that they've gone hungry has not eaten enough, and you just need to eat more. I'm saying this in a general circumstance, obviously maybe extenuating circumstances. Please do not take this for medical advice. Also, the last one that I want to address is I only like 3 different kinds of veggies. This was me, actually. I was like, I can never be vegan because I really don't like that many veggies. I grew up, I had 3 or 4, and they had to hide it in the meat. They had to hide it in the mashed potatoes and cheese sauce because I just wouldn't eat it. I didn't like veggies. And what I realized, though, was over time I tested myself in different ways, and I really pushed myself outside of my comfort zone when it came to veggies. I also would look up different recipes that it was like chicken cacciatore, vegan and healthy. And I would get a recipe for that, and I would cook that one. And I started to learn more about it through that kind of trial and error, and also looking for options for what I really enjoyed that weren't vegan, and look for vegan versions of them. So that was really helpful. And those are just by simple Google searches, guys. This is nothing, complicated or sophisticated here. But I'll do a future video on how to transition to vegan. This one is mainly to get the wheels turning in your head and start that kind of conversation about what this could look like for you and what it looked like for me. So in the comments below, have you transitioned to vegan before or tried it? Have you ever considered it? What questions do you still have about it? What's really been holding you back from making that transition? And feel free to drop any of those questions in the comments below, and I would be more than happy to answer them for you. And anybody else who's vegan is welcome to comment as well and share your insights as well, because we can tie it together, my united vegan front. So as promised, I have a freebie for you guys today. So in the description section, not the comment section, in the description section, I will include a freebie for today. So there's going to be my top 10 vegan resources that personally helped me to make the transition and fall in love and inspired me. So I'm going to include those resources in a PDF down below, so you can go ahead and download that to help learn more before you get started. So as always, stay strong and never lose sight of yourself in the service of others. And if you like this episode, please give me a like below and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends, all that jazz, and then come back next Thursday for the new episode. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.